We are live. I'll just give this less than a minute to have more attendees come in, and then we get started. Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. I am Shweta Bandapani. I am one of the community builders on Be-Waste Wise. Today we have Sian Young, co-founder of CL Environmental Solutions, moderating the webinar. Before we go into the webinar, I want to tell everyone that it's been last month, CL Environmental Solutions celebrated 10 years of existence. So congratulations, Sian. Congratulations on that. And for all the attendees and the speakers, you will find other webinars that Sian has moderated for Be-Waste Wise on our website under the webinar section. The title for today's webinar is Let's Feast, Not Waste, How Caribbean Tourism Can Tackle Food Waste. Sian has put together a wonderful panel. We have Chef Humberto Canales, who's an executive chef at Hyatt Regency in Port Spain, and Andrea Bellini, consulting manager at Light Blue Consulting. A few housekeeping reminders to the attendees. Please use the chat to introduce yourselves, and please use Q&A to put in your questions to the panel, and do use chat to add your comments. If it's not a question, please feel free to use chat. Our speakers are going to look at it. Over to you, Sian.
Thank you so much, Swetha, and hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. It is a pleasure to always host these webinars with Be-Waste Wise. We have been doing this for quite some time now, and so feel free to go back and look at our previous webinars where we covered topics like plastic waste, like marine waste, like wastewater, and so on. All of our conversations are centered around the Caribbean perspective and the Caribbean dynamic. So as Swetha said, please feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat. However, please have your questions in the Q&A, because sometimes people forget, sometimes you'll forget and put your questions in the chat, but I'll be looking at the Q&A to be able to draw from. So thank you so much again, wherever you are coming from. I'd love to know, and for having this and for joining our conversation. The Caribbean is known for many things, for our food, for our culture, for our wonderful beaches. We always say we live where you vacation. And so tourism is a huge part of our gross domestic product for a lot of Caribbean islands. However, we have not really begun to really take hold of food waste and how that can be positioned as something to attract people to our region as well. We have been a bit slow in adopting that. And so that's why I have my two amazing guests, Chef Humberto with me and Andrea, who will be highlighting their perspectives as a chef and as Light Blue Consulting, and as one of the foremost people in the food waste management space. CL Environmental is also an accredited company with the pledge on food waste through Light Blue Consulting, and so we are happy to be here as well. So we'll jump right in. So Chef, I'll start with you. My first question is, from a chef's perspective, what are some of the biggest sources of, well, actually, let me rephrase the question slightly. So I'll ask you a two-part question, right, Chef? So from your perspective, why do you think managing food waste is important? And particularly, you know, in a hotel setting like the Hyatt Regency, you know, what drove you to want to pay attention to this space?
First of all, thank you very much for the invitations. I'm very happy to be here today and discuss this very important topic that involves all our industry. No, why it's important? Because the hotel industry, the hospitality industry, probably is one of the major producer of food waste. No, because of all the customers that we have and all the production that we have in the hotel. And at some point, if we not utilize properly all this food that is prepared, nicely done, and is supposed to be for the guests, goes to the bin for many different reasons. No, so it's very important to control the production. It's very important to reutilize all the materials. It's very important to get in contact with many different people to support how can we reuse it. And of course, in this property in Hyatt Regency, in general in Hyatt, we are very focusing in reduce or putting in place many different activities, sources, devices that help us to reduce that is involved all over the world. No? Particularly in this hotel, we are a business hotel who has very large operation. We have around 30,000 covers per month, which means like the productions of food that we have here, it's quite extensive. If we don't put something in place to try to control and to reduce it, of course, we're gonna end up to having a lot of waste at the end of the month. And in this particular region, when we have many resorts and many hotels, and when we have very large buffets and we have many all-inclusive hotels, and if also we don't put this little thinking in our colleagues and if our guests that they are coming here, that of course we need to put more focusing in teaching and educate in some way, so that help us to put from our side something. No? It's definitely very important that all industry works together to attack to tackle this point. And with many different organizations are also supporting and creating different sources, different devices that also help us to measure and waste and all these things. And yeah, well, Hyatt, as I said, it's very keen and very focused to tackle this major issue that we have in this industry.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chef. I really appreciated the point that you made about, because we're an island state, and in Caribbean, all of us are island regions, and access to materials also is a problem for us. And it can get quite expensive trying to import materials in or get the things that we need. So it's necessary, one, to manage things locally as much as you can to reduce some of that cost. But as you said, you know, the hospitality sector, the hotel industry is a big where food waste is concerned. And so we must begin to pay attention to it. And I want to acknowledge you and congratulate you for taking that step as well. So Andrea, here's my question for you. I want you to share a little bit about the pledge on food waste. What is it? How can it be used to support somebody like Chef Humberto and others who are listening on the call, you know, and why the Caribbean region should start paying attention in this area?
Thank you very much, Sean. So nice to meet you, everyone. My name is Andrea Bellini, and I work for Light Blue Environmental Consulting and our sister company, The Pledge on Food Waste. So the Pledge on Food Waste is a third-party annual certification, which has the goal to, in a very comprehensive way, assess the effort initiatives that various type of organization that handle food implemented in order to reduce the food waste. So we provide a certification that kind of assess and then celebrate the initiatives that hotels, restaurants, convention center, events are taking place in order to prevent food waste. The certification has been around for approximately 13 years now, and is the only certification on the market that we know we have. There are a lot of sustainability certification, but the Pledge on Food Waste is the only one that focus exclusively on food waste. In many certification, food waste is just one of the many KPI that are considered. Is that for us is the focus. We built this certification across 7 pillars and 95 criteria, and we built this and fine-tune over the years based on the experience that we collected monitoring food waste in various organizations and seeing all the different activities that matter in order to reduce food waste, which involve the commitment of the staff, the engagement of the guest of the hotel or of the event, but as well as monitoring, as well as putting in place some best practice on the cooking side, on the preparation, but as well as storage, labeling. All these elements are really important, as well as communication. Regarding the Caribbean, as you were just mentioning, of course, being for sure, there are a lot of, it's a touristic destination, very popular. We have exclusive resort, we have many players that work in the tourism industry. So for sure, having a certification like the Pledge can give your organization momentum, visibility, international recognition, and also communicate with your customers your commitment. This can work well both on your customer as well as your employees, because of course you're showing your commitment to preserve natural resources that come from the ecosystem. At the same time, so of course, reducing food waste means also an improvement in the performance, in the business performance of the organization, and this is especially true for all-inclusive resort, large organization that they have, especially, for instance, large buffet, and countries and that they have a higher food cost. Because in that case, of course, a percentage reduction of your food waste will benefit the most your organization.
Thank you, Andrea. One of the things that you said, that's important is it allows organizations to gain recognition for their, because it's hard work. It's not a simple task, The Hyatt Regency is also Green Key certified. And of course, we know Green Key certification is a broader certification that covers multiple aspects, but the Pledge on Food Waste is solely focused on food waste, which is what I love about it and why I am so connected to it as well. One of the things that, so Chef, this question is coming at you. So one of the things so there is a food waste hierarchy for those on the call who are not aware, and food waste prevention and reduction continues to sit at the top. And so, Chef, I would love for you to be able to share, because I know you started the work in food waste reduction. Like, what was one of the areas that you have seen through your food waste management that has come up that you probably didn't think, was a major thing or a major challenge? If you can share that with us, and if you have any plans to reduce it, you could share that as well. But I would just love to hear, in your thrust, in your management of food waste, like what is one thing that has come up that you didn't particularly think of, or it was a bit surprising for you in managing food waste at the hotel?
Yes, as you mentioned, we are a Green Key certificate hotel, who also involves sustainability and water resources and everything. No? And one of the points that is necessary for the Green Key is how you're managing your food waste. No? So one of the projects and implementations that we put in place here in the hotel, there are a few things. One is we work together with the zoo, for example, with the local zoo, when all the trimmings from the fruits that we utilize in the hotels for all the events and all the banquet, and because we produce a lot of trimmings from the fruits, which represent probably at the end of the month around 1 ton of trimming that needs to be sent somewhere else and can somewhere else utilized. So all these trims goes to the zoo, that actually helps to in some way feed the animals there, no? So that's one of the points. The other one is that we implemented or we work with a system who help us to measure or how much waste we produce at the end of the day. We waited if anything was not utilized and cannot be utilized for another different reason and needs to be done or needs to be discarded. We waited, and then at the end of the month, we received all the reports that tell us which are the items that you are less utilized or you are throwing more. Which protein is the one that you are overproduced or you need to reduce. Which time of the day or which time of the meals is the one that you are producing more. So all these reports that we receive at the end of the day and at the end of the month, it only help us to first, of course, we are a organization that is needs, it's a business place, so we need to reduce the cost for these things first of all. And it helps us to let us know, okay, I need to adjust in certain areas, I need to adjust in certain period of time or in certain days because we are producing the same amount of food and we are not utilizing properly. And after 6 months that we've been using the system, we've been able to reduce at this point 23% of the food waste that we have in the previous years. The goal is to reach to 45% in the first year. We still have a long way to go, but it's a very good start for us. Because I might say all these reports and all these figures and all these numbers that is giving us to us has been helping us very much. So it's one of the implementation that we have put in place to help us to reduce the food waste.
Excellent, Chef. And I see some people still joining us. And of course, my other thing is that I'm also an animal lover. So when you said zoo, I was like, yay, because I love visiting the zoo. And that's another aspect of the hierarchy. After we've reduced and fed people, then the next thing is to feed the animals. And so that is a great use of food waste. If there is a zoo in the country, another popular option that people choose is to make compost and then use that to also tie back into the farmers that are providing materials that are supplying produce to the hotel. So it also remains full cycle. But I wanted to, something you also said about measuring. And Andrea, I want us to touch on that point a little bit. So the Pledge on Food Waste is a certification and recognition program. But to Chef's point about the importance of measuring, it also has a mechanism that supports hotels, restaurants, canteens, event centers in measuring. Because we have this thing in the Caribbean where we don't like to measure things, right? And you can't measure what you don't know. And in having conversations, people will ask them, well, so how much food waste are you generating? They say, well, Shan, it's not much, or it's a little bit. And I often tell them not much and a little bit is not a number. You need to know quantitatively how much food waste are you generating. So then you can participate in developing a compost strategy, feeding the animals, giving your excess to people. So how important from your perspective is measuring the food waste, and how does the pledge support people through that process?
Thank you very much for the question. So measuring is actually one of the 7 pillars of the pledge. We consider measuring food waste as the first step in order to then analyze, understand why you're wasting food, and then be able to find the right solution. Of course, every food waste monitoring system tool will not be the solution. So monitoring will not automatically reduce food waste. Then the human involvement is key, is fundamental. but data is what give us insights on what are we wasting, why are we wasting, when, and of course, like how much. So all this information are really like fundamental then to take um, mindful decision in order to reduce food waste, but at the same time, of course, uh, provide all the service that you want to your customer, because that of course need to be considered as well. Um, for this reason, actually, as FIT, we also develop a food waste monitoring system. We decided that we were shocked initially to recognize that in an industry, tourism industry, when there are so many KPIs in terms of selling, if you think about the room, we monitor like multiple KPIs, but then when we go to the kitchen and we say how much food is being wasted, is exactly not that much, but what does it mean? Like how much per person on average? So we decided to develop a system that we try to make the most scalable as possible, uh, recognizing and starting from one key assumption. The kitchen team, first of all, needs to cook. This is their main task, their main activity. So when we introduce this system, this kind of program to the kitchen team, to the hotel team, we try not to disrupt their operation, because we know that measuring needs to be done, but it cannot become the main focus of their day or their activity. So we want to make the measuring step as a really easy and not time-consuming steps that then gets little by little they get accustomed to and become part of their day-to-day processes. It's part of the standard operating procedure. The team is well trained, and they know before throwing away, we need to measure, we need to record, because then at the end of the month, the chef and whole the hotel team, all the organization will be able to review those data and take better decision. So very, very important, I would say.
Excellent, excellent. And one of the things I think for us is understanding the importance. So I come from a science background. I'm an environmental scientist by profession. And so I understand the importance of data and using that data to make informed decisions. Because Chef Umberto just said they've reduced 23% of their food waste already. That 23% also translates into a monetary value. So most people, when they think of managing food waste, they may think of it from only an environmental perspective. Yes, we love the planet, and that is the driver. I mean, if food waste were a country, it would be the third largest emitter of greenhouse gas emissions in the world. But however, from a financial standpoint, there also is a dollar value attached to your reduction. So you would see yes percentage, but there's that has a value as well. That is 20,000 US, 50,000 US, whatever it is, it has a value. And I think for a lot of organizations in this sector, they're not drawing the connection between the two things. So I just wanted to mention that, because when Chefs talked about this percentage, that is attached to monetary value as well, right? So Chef, one of the things that in our conversations outside of this, and thank you so much guys for joining us. I see you guys from all over the world, and I also see some familiar faces. So thank you so much for being here. One of the things that we were talking about, Chef, outside of this is engaging the staff. You know, the food waste, the food waste management is not singular to you as the executive chef. It is you, it's your sous chef, it's your kitchen staff, but also it goes beyond you. You know, if the general manager, Mr. Hooper, of the Hyatt Regency wasn't on board, then none of this would have been even possible, you know. So when you talk about, so I wanted to ask you about the engagement process beyond the kitchen of the staff, and well, not just beyond the kitchen, but including your kitchen staff, but also the rest of the hotel. If how has that been like? Has it been challenging? You know, I'd love to learn more about that process for you.
Yeah, well, in the beginning, it's difficult to change operation that has been running for 16 years in the same way, no? And to change this mindset of, okay, now probably I need to do just a little bit extra of our regular activities, because of course now they need to go and weigh the waste and pull the reports, and which is not taking more than 2 or 3 minutes, no? But it's for them, it's an extra thing that they need to do, no? But then at the end, if you explain them and you actually show them how important is for the business of a hotel, and actually how important it is for your life, because also this can be implemented on your regular basis on your personal life, no? Very simple things like, if I'm not going to utilize this product today, okay, how can I use it for tomorrow, or how can I process it for another dish in the following days? Or how much, at the end, as you said, which is very important, the last number of financially, because it's monetary, no? How much we have at the end of the year, because okay, probably you see it at the end of the month, that is, let's say, reduce 23%, which represent around, talking about in US dollars, it's not that much, it's around 3,000 US dollars. But at the end, if you take it to the end of the year, represent around 36,000 US dollars, no? Which now it's a quite representative number. And if you show them, okay, guys, if we already reduced this amount of money, let's say, of waste that we produce, the hotel can utilize it to help us to, I don't know, to fix other equipment, or to buy other equipment to help you to on your daily operation. It's easier for you, it's more efficient for you. We can buy more equipment that makes you more happy that you work with better equipment. And also for you in your personal life, if you say, okay, I just throw in this, I don't know, pineapple skin, and at the end of the month, you can utilize this apple skin to make a juice and make a tea with that. And there's so many different ways that you can use it on your life, no? So change this mindset for the staff in the beginning was very challenging. To, let's say, in some way, I don't want to say the word educated, but in some way, teaching them how important is this. And of course, the contribution for all the staff, it's very important, no? We have one of the equipment in the staff cafeteria, no? And in the staff cafeteria, we measure also what is on the plate. And if we show them at the end of the month, okay, if you put on your plate all this food and you are not eating it at the end of your meal, how much food we are just throwing it, and we didn't really think about it, no? And we put some pictures of how much food is being thrown from the plate, and now the people are more conscious and more mindful. Okay, whatever I put on my plate, I need to eat it, no? And one of the points that also we're going to implement it in our staff is that at one of the day, we remove all the beans from the cafeteria, and whatever is on the plate needs to be eaten. There's no other option, no? So now the staff is more mindful. The staff is of course encouraging to work on it. I'm very committed, and I'm very happy. I'm very happy to work with all my team in this very important topic.
I love that last idea, Chef. Take away all the bins and make sure you eat all of your food.
Yeah.
I would encourage people to even try that and see what will happen. You know, we have a saying, well, in Trinidad, I mean, on every Caribbean island probably has their own way of saying this thing. We have a saying, your eye bigger than your belly, meaning because you see so much food, you want to take everything, and then you pile it on your plate, and then you realize you can't eat all of it, so you're wasting. And so, you know, one of the things, you know, as an educator that I encourage people to do, that I have utilized, because you talk about translating the food waste management from the hotel as an employee into your own personal life, right? And one of the things that I have done in my own personal life is use a smaller plate. I find that if I use a smaller plate and I only put on that what I could consume, if I need to go back for a second rounds, I can go back for a second rounds. But I'm not going to use the big plate and then waste all of the, can't consume everything and then some of it gets wasted. In our household, down to the children, no, we eat everything that is on their plate. I actually tell them, bring your plate so mommy to see. Let me see. Every grain of rice must be consumed. And so that is a practice. So I would love for other organizations to do that brave thing of removing all the bins and making sure everybody eats everything. But Andrea, just based coming off, one of the things that I extracted from what Chef was saying too is the importance of education. And in the work of Light Blue and the pledge, especially in other countries, where education is concerned, like what are some of the strategies? So he gave one of the strategies that they've used at the Hyatt, especially in the staff cafeteria. But what are some of the strategies that may have been utilized in some of the other, island communities like the Seychelles or Mauritius, that you guys have supported organizations in being able to execute, because of the importance of education, because as Chef said, it is a mindset shift that has to happen. People need to think differently about food waste. We always say our mission at SILE is to transform the way you think and act towards waste. And so what has your experience been in the education efforts through Light Blue and the Pledge on Food Waste?
I totally agree with what the chef has said about mindset here. We always start any project with awareness, the moment of realization. Even for me, when the first time I got in touch with Light Blue as a company, I was not fully aware of the impact, the significance of this issue. I mean, of course, there was food waste, but then when you realize that, like, approximately, according to the latest studies, 1/3 of the food produced in the world goes wasted. Like 1/3 is a lot of food, really. So even for a professional in the industry, sometimes this number can sound shocking. So we always start making realize, training the team about the impact of food waste, the social, the environmental, as well as the financial impact. So when they realize that, usually there is a lot of support to the project, because we cannot lead this project without the kitchen team, without the hotel team, or the convention center. People need to be committed. People need to support, because then at the end, we were speaking first about measuring. We can speak about beans, but if the professional want to cheat, there is not really we can do or we can control with any system. So it's very important to educate, to share them, like, okay, this is why we do, this is why we committed to this project. And then, of course, you need to follow up a bit. You need to um, take care of all the all the all the stakeholders that decide to join you in this journey. So sometimes they will need a push. We also provide like food waste reports, so they can have like a weekly update on how things are going. We monitor how much of the required data entry have been actually uploaded to the system. Um, in the case of the certification, we decided to go for an annual certification, for instance, because doesn't mean that if your team committed 1 year, it's going to be the same second year. So every time you will need to be audited, you will need to be verified, because in this case, it's the only way that we can make sure that you actually keep doing this program, you didn't lose momentum, you're still committed, especially when we have like a high turnover. It's very important to come back, re-educate. But as a company, we follow our partners through every step. So we offer training session, we offer workshop, as well as what we call mock audit or consulting session, where we basically, of course, there is an audit process, so they will need to submit some evidences, and we verify that those evidences are actually compliant with the requirement of the certification. Then of course we can kind of reassure our partner that when the audit time is coming, they will be fully prepared and they can feel comfortable with it.
Okay, that's great, because with anything, especially when behavior change activities come into play, mindset is the biggest thing. Changing the way people think towards something is not as Chef said, it's not the easiest thing to do. You're going to meet resistance in the beginning, but if you can show them the impact of their own decisions and their own choices on their bottom line, and by extension, the environment, you would find that, and then of course, make the connection deep for them as well, so people have a personal connection to what they're doing, so that when they leave their jobs and they go home, the activity and the same thinking and the behavior is translated into the house. So thank you so much for that, Andrea. I see we have a question in the chat. Part of it Chef already answered, but I'll still read it. At Hyatt Regency Port of Spain, is there currently any food waste monitoring system in place? I heard that Hyatt has its own internal monitoring tools. Also, has the new legislation in Spain, so this part is probably for Andrea, this part is for you. Also, has the new legislation in Spain been a strong driver for hotels and restaurants to start action plans and minimize food waste? Finally, is certification in Spain something widely recognized, or does it depend on each business? So I will still allow Chef to answer, but he did say that they are utilizing a food waste monitoring system at the Hyatt Regency. That's how they're able to track. That's how he was able to give a 23% reduction so far in 6 months. So they are utilizing a food waste monitoring system. And then, as Andrea just said, the Pledge on Food Waste also has a food waste monitoring system as well. So Andrea, the second part, I'll just repeat it for you in case I said it too quickly. Has the new legislation in Spain been a strong driver for hotels and restaurants to start action plans and minimize food waste? And is the certification in Spain something widely recognized, or does it depend on each business? You're muted, Andrea. I'm not hearing you.
Okay, sure. I was thinking that you were going to start with the four parts. Okay, sure. Regarding Spain, yes, for sure the change in the legislation is helping a lot, is driving a lot of momentum to the topic. We've seen it's probably the country where we had the most increase in business volume in the last year. I think just recently we started a project with over approximately 10 hotels that decided to implement our system. In terms of the certification, I mean, of course, it depends case by case. At the moment, we're focusing on the certification for hotel. So I know that actually in Spain, we recently certified an event as well in Madrid. So yes, Spain is for sure a stronger, like legislation, governments can impact a lot um, um, this kind of like implementation, providing also like grants and funds in order to implement them. Another big factor like into this kind of um, development and introduction of new tools are the corporate sustainability corporate goals. The majority of large hotel group now, they have some target in terms of food waste reduction. This is obviously aligned with the Sustainability Development Goal by the United Nations. So since there is this increasing attention to the topic, more and more businesses are requiring for a certification, for an audit, or if they don't want to get certified, just for a monitoring system in order to track and then reduce.
Thank you, Andrea. Chef, you wanted to add anything else to the first part of the question? Do you need me to read it again for you?
No, yeah, we have in place, just to be more specific and more clear, it's two devices. One is in the staff cafeteria to help us to measure whatever is produced there, for, let's say, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, from the plate and from the buffet. And then we have another device that is in the main kitchen, who help us to see how much we're producing for all the events that we have in the hotel, no? Which is quite large banquet operation. So that is been helping us to record and to weigh and have numbers. So it's been helping us to reduce how much we need to produce, and of course, at the end, how much is the waste at the end of the shifts.
Thank you so much, Chef. So we have another question. I think I could take this one, unless Chef, you or Andrea want to add anything. The question is from Anthea. Are you considering, besides hotels, to develop certification for guest houses and bed and breakfast? So Andrea, and for those listening on the call, so in the Caribbean, we do, outside of the bigger chain hotels like the Hyatt and the Marriott and the larger chains, we also have smaller guest houses. They're very quaint. They look like your own home. We have bed and breakfasts. We have boutique hotels. So we have smaller organizations as well. And I would say, Anthea, the answer is yes. I think any size organization can start monitoring and start managing, which includes monitoring their food waste. I don't think it's only the big boys need to do it. I think it could happen at any level, because she's saying there are over 10,000 guest houses and bed and breakfasts in South Africa alone. Yes, and the Caribbean region, I don't know what our number is, but we have a lot as well too. Trinidad and Tobago is 2 islands. Tobago, you would find, has more of the bed and breakfast, the guest houses. And Trinidad has the bigger hotels like the Hyatt and so on, because we're larger in space. And so we have the bigger hotels, but it doesn't mean that the small ones cannot manage their food waste. Of course, what it would mean is that the programs have to be scaled down to meet their needs because they're not generating as much as the larger hotels. Andrea, you want to add anything to what I just said there?
No, actually, I think you touch the main points. Honestly, we can reduce food waste. We can prevent food waste in any place where they manage food and they're providing food to guests. Obviously, I would say the large organization usually are at they're the first to kind of like always to introduce these sustainability programs, this certification, but as well like all the smaller players come right after. Is a normal process. And yeah, for sure. Actually, I would say that small enterprises can really have a strong impact because usually the staff, you can really train all of the staff there. And as you know, Shan, we have a strong network of partners around the world. So we developed it's called the Accredited Consultant Program Network, and the idea was indeed to have local representatives that can go on site, can really explain the project, and can do the implementation. Because obviously, an implementation made on site, speaking in the local language, if needed, in many countries, can be more effective than like a program which instead is the same for everyone, one size fits all. So in this case, we prefer a more tailored approach. But yes, to answer your question, for sure we can.
Excellent. Chef, I just wanted to, this is not a technical question, but I just wanted to find out from you, like, how do you feel about managing food waste and being, and the Hyatt being one of the, if not the first hotel in Trinidad and Tobago, who has taken this bold, brave step to manage food waste? Like, how did this, I just wanted to know, how do you feel about that?
Well, I must say, apart from the financial and economical, that you need me as a person in charge of all the food in the hotel, that I need to take all these decisions. For me, it's coming also from the human part, no? Like, why we are not more conscious of how much food we throw in that actually can be eaten. And majority in our region that there are so many places that they don't have access, or they don't have the same opportunity, or it's difficult to get all the resources. As you said, it's very expensive to import the things. And at the end, if we don't utilize it properly, it's quite sad, and it's quite yeah, frustrating, and say, I need to do something about it, no? Because we need to make an impact in the local community, in the local in the local place, with our staff, and show them, okay, we can make a difference at the end of the day, no? And at the end, when I see that all the staff is committed and all the staff is actually putting a little thing from their side, of course, make you feel like I'm proud to them doing something, no? And I'm not gonna leave this place without put my signature in some way there, no? So I might say Hyatt is very focused. In general, Hyatt is very focused in all the sustainability and all this reducing food waste, and is very supportive, of course, in find different ways to do it. And the feeling is of full satisfaction, no? At the end of the day, that we have been reducing 23%, but still, I think we can do more and more and more and more. So yeah, I'm very proud of the team. I'm very happy to work with all these community that are involved. Very happy with also with you, Sean, that they give us an opportunity to discuss this. You came to us bringing this system, and happy to work together, no?
Yeah, we have plans, Chef. We have plans. One of this, so we have a couple of questions in the chat, and then we will look to wrap up today's session. So Anthea is based in Cape Town, South Africa, one of the places that I hope to visit soon in my life. She says, shall we work together to pioneer this? We have tested this at 30 local bed and breakfasts in the township community along the coast of South Africa, where they are composting their food waste and also utilizing it to grow food. It's easier to work with this, as Andrea said, it's a smaller audience to engage and train. So Anthea, the short answer to your question is yes. And Andrea's contact is going to also be shared at the end. I would love to be able to be connected, because I just love South Africa in some way, somehow. But Andrea's email is going to be shared at the end. So yes, you could definitely work together to pioneer that. And Stefan's question, unless Andrea has another answer, but I think the answer is yes, right, Andrea?
Absolutely. The more
Very
food waste we
good.
can save, I'm happy.
Right, great. The other question, so thank you for that, Anthea. The other question is from Stefan. In the Caribbean, are there any other established value chains? I'll take this one. Established value chains for food waste other than feeding it to zoo animals? Do you have established collection systems of biogas treatment or black soldier fly facilities? So Stefan, let me take the second part of your question first. Trinidad and Tobago. So let me go back a little bit. Energy costs varies across the Caribbean region. In Trinidad and Tobago, the cost of energy and electricity is quite cheap. And therefore, we have not been looking at biogas treatment as a major solution. There are some smaller players who want that option to power their kitchens directly. But on a broader scale, no, biogas treatment is not something that we're looking at based on the cost of our energy. A lot of some of the other countries like Barbados have adopted solar panels because we have this abundance of sunshine. We have only 2 seasons in the Caribbean region, dry and rainy. And so during the dry seasons, we have an abundance of sunshine. So that has been the renewable energy that the Caribbean is gravitating to. We have other islands that like St. Kitts and Nevis, which is looking at geothermal energy. So the adoption of biogas has not been in a major way, and it's really on an individual case-by-case basis. The Black Soldier Fly, the University of the West Indies St. Augustine campus is working on a Black Soldier Fly project. And we do have a couple entrepreneurs in Trinidad who's also utilizing Black Soldier Fly larva. But in terms of an established value chain, so far it has depended on the organization to choose what they would want. So the Hyatt has chosen to work with the Emperor Valley Zoo, which is the only zoo based in Trinidad and Tobago. They may also choose composting. Some of the other organizations choose composting. I see my good colleague Carrie Ann is on the call, and their hotel in Barbados is looking at composting as an option for them. So it really depends on what the organization would like to do with its food waste. At the end, our goal here at SILE is just to encourage people not to throw it in the garbage. That's what we want, right? We want no more food waste going into the bins. In the Caribbean region, food waste remains the #1 waste type that we generate. It remains at the top, anywhere between 30 to 40%, in some cases more than 40%, food waste are generated. And in small island developing states like the Caribbean region, that is a lot. And so we really have to take bolder steps. And of course, legislation helps, as it has been done in Spain. We've seen the thrust and the push that has given. So, Stefan, I hope I answered your question. And let me check to see if there are any other questions. Okay, so Sandra just asked a question about coconut husk. I will take that one because yeah, I've been in this industry for a long time. So Sandra, I would ask, do you mean in Trinidad and Tobago or the Caribbean in general? Coconuts are a major issue for us. Andrea, I don't know if you've ever had coconut water straight from the coconut. I know that Thailand has, so Andrea is based in Thailand. And so that's a thing for us in the Caribbean. We love, in Trinidad, we love going around the Queen's Park Savannah and getting a cold coconut and drinking it straight from, not in any bottle or anything, straight from the nut, you know? But coconuts, the husk is heavily fibrous and it takes quite a long time to break down. So Sandra, in Trinidad, we have one company that I know of is using the husk to make matting material, which is supposed to help in water absorption and erosion activities. So that's just one use of coconut husk. Andrea, have you seen any other, or Chef, because Chef, you could hear his accent. So he's not Trinbagonian by birth, but he has been here for quite some time. So you guys have seen anything else with coconut husk where you're from?
No, honestly speaking, no. I haven't seen any kind of reutilization of the coconut, no? Well, if you are creative, you can actually make some kind of nice plates and dishes from that. Honestly, no, I don't know if there's any company or industry here that can take this and create something and do something with that. But no, honestly, no, I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, so there's one that they're now about to start. They just bought the equipment. They're called Vetiver TT. I'm sure some of you on the call have heard of vetiver grass before. It's normally used for slope stabilization and soil erosion. So they are now going to look at using the coconuts, because if you drive around, you just see the coconuts all over, like the dried husk everywhere. And Lionel is also saying we use coconut husk in bioremediation, yes, because of its absorption parameters. So they are looking at using it to make a matting material, but you can use it for different things like planters because it absorbs water really well, different things. So I hope the coconut husk industry grows. That's what I hope. Anthea, you met the great Nelson Mandela. Oh my God, that is wonderful. He said, I just wanted to say, because she mentioned it in the chat, get on with working at grassroots to get all of it done. Something is only impossible until it's done. Yes, Anthea, I love that. Something is only impossible until it's done. I'm sure Chef Sword managing food waste was going to be this Herculean task until he started to get to do it. And then you realize, oh, okay, it's not as impossible. It's not as hard as people are like it to be, you know. You have to get it done once you get involved and you see the benefits of doing it. So, but yes, Sandra, that's a great opportunity for entrepreneurs. Of course, as an entrepreneur myself, we need to be supported. You know, don't charge us an arm and a leg with taxes and things. But that's just I'm sorry, I digress. That's my personal opinion. As an entrepreneur in this space, I was working in waste management for, I made my 20-year anniversary this year as well. So everyone, I just wanted to say, so Chef and Andrea are going to ask you one question to wrap up, and then we'll close. So Chef, your question is, what is one piece of advice that you would give to another hotel, to a restaurant that is just beginning to manage food waste? What is one piece of advice you give them?
Work with your staff, no? Work with your mindset of the staff first. Teaching them, explain them the importance of reduce the food waste in this industry. When I said, in general, the hotel industry is one of the major producer of food waste. And it needs to start from us, no? Apart that there are now different devices and different systems, needs to start that from full commitment from the organization, full commitment from the managers, full commitment from the staff to make a difference and reduce the food waste. So yeah, it's completely training and work with the staff is the first beginning, no?
Okay. Andrea, same question to you. What is one piece of advice you will give a hotel or restaurant, small bed and breakfast, in terms of getting them to understand why managing food waste is important?
Okay. So I would say that the most challenge that I've seen so far is kind of the being a bit scared of negatively influence the customers. So organizations are really scared of, yeah, but if we don't provide enough food. So they are concerned that this kind of project in some way may not really benefit their image. Instead, guests understand. Guests, I think, really appreciate this kind of like attempt initiatives. So communicate with your guests. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Usually the perception that I've received and I've seen so far is always very, very positive. So this will improve your guest engagement. I know that for years has been done in another way. There was more like the more I'm giving you, the better it is, but actually it's not. And actually guests will recognize this and will really appreciate. So don't be scared to take action and let's try.
Sean, you seem
Please.
to be stuck. I think yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna wait for Sean to come back, allowing her to wrap up. I'm not quite sure where she. All right, we'll probably give her a minute to come in. Yep, I think she's back. Hi, Sean. We lost you for a minute there.
Yes, you did lose me. I'm so sorry. My internet dropped there. And you guys lost me for a second. But thank you so much to Chef Emberto Canales and Andrea Bellini for joining us today. I saw Tika's question about landfills, and I just wanted to touch it really quickly. Landfilling is the main method, one of the main methods of disposal of waste generally in the Caribbean region. And so, but because we have so much food waste, because it's such a large majority, food, paper, and then plastics, the goal is for us to look at some other options before we get to incineration, as it is done in Singapore. But landfills, we do have, every Caribbean country has a landfill. And so we're looking at transitioning and encouraging reduce, reuse, recycle, encouraging food waste management to prevent as much waste, and only what needs to be disposed of should get there. So guys, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to my wonderful guests for joining me today. Thank you, Sweeta, as usual, for allowing us to host our Caribbean-based webinars. Guys, remember, for those of you who are on the call, that I remain one of Lightblue's partners in the Caribbean as an accredited consultant with the Pledge on Food Waste, and here to support you through your efforts, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but across the Caribbean region as well. So with that, I will just hand over to Sweeta to just give her closing remarks, and thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to meet everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
Much
Thank you,
everyone.
Humberto, and thank you, Andrea. For the audience, I've dropped all of their email IDs on chat. You will be able to find it. Please be in touch with the panelists. If you have any questions related to your region or related to Caribbean, I'm sure they'll be happy to respond to you. Thank you once again, Sean, for putting together a wonderful panel. It's been great. And another reminder to the audience, the webinar is recorded. You will have access to it on demand right away. And for those who haven't registered, this is going to go up on our website in a couple of weeks' time. So do check back and sign up for our newsletter if you want to get regular information. All right. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you very
everyone.
much.
Bye.
Thank you.